Out on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And for the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. And that's just a sampling. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. For laptops, mobile phones, and tablets, download the Roku app. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now, with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live.
The Big Football Show every Sunday at 8 a.m. on Roku at 4 p.m. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Big Football Show, where you can get all your football news first and the best. Sonia Pearson and Jack Hirsch will be in at 8:30, but we got our weekly college football guru here. And, of course, we'll talk a little bit about the games, too. So let's bring on TGI Sports Talk, the Reverend himself, Keith Angle. Keith, how you doing today?
Good morning, gents. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. And we're going to get to the NFL games, of course. But first, let's talk a little bit about the national championship, right? So we got Notre Dame coming up Monday playing against Ohio State. Ohio State hasn't won a big one in a while. The Notre Dame, of course, hasn't won a big one in decades. And maybe really the only shot Notre Dame has in winning, because Ohio State has flaws, as Notre Dame does. They both got real good defenses, that's for sure. Running games are pretty equal. Notre Dame's got a little edge in the turnovers, though, Keith. They have a little edge in scoring off turnovers. I know Notre Dame's your team going in, but what would Ohio State have to do to beat Notre Dame?
They need to play exactly like they played against Tennessee and Texas and Oregon, actually. Maybe even more Oregon and Texas, because they played perfectly. They got out of the gate quick. Notre Dame's not built to play from behind. They can play in a close football game and behind a field goal or touchdown. But if this team falls behind by a couple of touchdowns early, it's going to be very hard for them to get back in this game, unless it's off turnovers, as you mentioned, or special teams. I laugh at sorry, Jack, I don't mean any disrespect when I laugh at the jokes at your expense. Yeah, I mean, again, on paper, Ohio State's a better football team. Very interesting side note here. Will Howard and Riley Leonard were the two guys that Notre Dame was trying to decide on to bring in here for this season with NIL money, and they chose, I think both teams, it worked out for both teams. Ohio State's much more talented. They got wide receivers coming out, whatever you want them to come out of. They just replace him right and left. Will Howard's been a little up and down. If Will Howard plays, he's played his last 2 games probably the year against Tennessee and Oregon. Little less consistent against Texas, but Notre Dame needs everything to go right. They can't turn the ball over. They got to force some turnovers and probably make a big play on special teams, because that's another place that they are better than Ohio State. And they've been very opportunistic this year. They go for it on 4th down as much as anybody in football. They fake punts. They fake field goals. You just don't know what to expect. And that is a big advantage when you don't know what a team might do. It's going to be a fun game. I don't think this will be a blowout on either side. Notre Dame will have to win a very close game.
I agree. Jack was playing darts last night. That's how he picks his games now. Yeah, well, that's how he picks his games now. He puts the teams on the dartboard and he just throws darts at them now, because that's about where his picks are now. Anyway.
Goalie. Don't be the goalie on the dart team. I'll give that.
No, that's one thing you shouldn't do. Keith, are these really the 2 best teams in the country?
It's probably not. I mean, I think Oregon had one bad game and they paid for it, right? Oregon's one. I think Oregon, you can make an argument, Oregon's one of the top 2 teams in the country still, but they lost a game when you can't lose it. They're the best 2 teams in the country right today, but if you take the season as a whole, are they the best 2 teams in the country? Possibly not. It's very subjective anyway. That's why we have a playoff, because for decades it was very subjective and we picked the best team based off of writers voting and coaches voting. And that's not a good system either. So at the end, if you win the last game, you're the best team. That's the way the system's built. And I think that's the way personally, I'd probably be okay going back to the writers voting, I guess, but in some ways, just because of some of the nonsense that goes on with the playoff. But there's some changes that need to be made. They need to fix the seeding and ranking thing. There's no way Ohio State should be playing Oregon in the quarterfinals, and Penn State should get Boise. That shouldn't be happening. So they can tweak that and fix this. The problem is, even the tournament itself, the playoff itself is not designed to get the best 12 teams in the playoff. If it was, you'd only take the best 12 ranked teams. You wouldn't worry about conference winners and everything else, but that's not what it's designed to do. So already there, you've got a little bit of a flaw if that's what you're looking for. But I want conference winners to be rewarded. I mean, I don't want to just take away all of that. And I want to include more of the group of 5 schools, to be honest with you. I would like to see them included more and give them a chance. But
so you say,
which, Keith, you're going to hear pushback from SEC because of all the cannibalism that goes on there. I mean, some of the greater teams that probably sitting, and Alabama fans in particular, which I can care less. I hate Alabama.
Yeah, not going to, James. We already have. I mean, they're already screaming that they want guaranteed 4 teams in a piece in a 12-team playoff. That's just ridiculous, right?
Yes. And Rich, we will get into the NFL. I just want to get this college stuff out of the way here. Not that I mean get out of the way, but it's very, very, very good stuff here. There's kind of complaint. I don't know if you want to call it complaining, Keith, but this. These playoffs started before New Year's. I mean, it's taken a long time to get here. Is there a way that they can kind of speed this up a little bit, play more games during the week or on the weekends to speed it up a little bit?
I don't think play more games in a shorter period of time, because that's not fair to the teams, and it's not, we're always worried about player health. That's not a good idea. But you could start a week earlier, right? Week 0 now is in August, but there's only a handful of games played. You could move the season up a week, and you could do away with that gap between the conference championship games and when the playoffs starts. You can eliminate 2 weeks right there. Problem with moving up the championship games is Army Navy has always had their standalone game, and that's going to be difficult if you do move everything up. But maybe you could do it. You could play them on a Friday night or something and still give them their lone stage. That game itself is going to become a problem because they play in the same conference now. They didn't play in league this year, so they could leave the game when it was. after the conference championship game. I don't know how they do it when they're scheduled to play during the season. I don't know how Army-Navy can be a standalone game anyway. So there's ways to do it. Again, you cut 2 weeks out, and now you're what? January, I can't do math, 3rd or 5th, right? I mean, that's not bad. The season historically ended on January 1st in years past, but it's been a while since that's happened. January 20th is too long. I agree 100%.
Yeah. The conference championships, Keith. Should they just do away with that? I mean, if you got a team that's in first place, and they've been in first place all year, and they get a little bump in the conference championship. Say the team beats them by whatever, 3 points or a touchdown or whatever. It's still kind of, like the NFL, right? That happens. You get beat during the season, but whoever has the best record by the end of the year is the one that moves on.
I would be in favor of doing away with the conference championship games. Right now, the way the system's built, there can actually be a deterrent to even getting in the conference championship game. If you lose and you're kind of on the bubble, you can hurt yourself seeding wise for sure. So I think the regular season champion should be rewarded a bit more.
Yes. Carlos says college testing for students happen. They just can't make up schedules.
I have no idea what that means.
Me either. And to me, these guys that are playing in these bowl games or in these championships, they'll figure a way to make sure that they get their testing.
If speaking about, just they have to be in school to test. I mean, this goes on all year, all season long. This isn't just happening. So we can get around that.
Well, since Sonia and Jack aren't here, me and James, and of course Keith, I know Keith's taking Notre Dame to win this game. James, who do you got?
Look, I have no dog in this fight, and I think it's going to be a tough game for both teams. But I think just the way Ohio State is, just the talent, I have to say I had to give them the favor because of the talent level there. But I wouldn't be mad either way if Notre Dame pulls an upset. I think it'd be an upset here because of the talent level. But looks like Notre Dame's been the underdog all year, man. And they just they just telling you, hey, we're here for real, and they got a good coach, and I think that coach is going to stay there.
He just signed a 5-year extension. I doubt.
Yeah, exactly. So their program is looking like it's going to be, really good, and recruiting is going to be good for them as well. But I just think it might be tough for them in this game to win.
Okay,
offensively, they got a good defense. I think Notre Dame has a really good defense,
right,
and Ohio State has a really good offense. It's going to be a really good matchup. Somebody's got to break, though.
I would, again, I've got my own reason. I do like Notre Dame in this game. I've obviously got a lot of other reasons that I can't go the other way. But they did play a perfect game for sure. Who do you like, Mac?
Yeah. Notre Dame was ranked 7. It's still ranked 7. If you look at the rank, Ohio State is ranked 8, believe it or not. So Notre Dame is ranked ahead of Ohio State. I'm a huge Irish fan. But if I had to bet money on this, I'd probably take Ohio State. I just think Ohio State's a better overall team. Notre Dame is going to need, as you said, they're going to need turnovers. They're going to need a couple big plays maybe on special teams to win this game. If they don't, I think Ohio State wins. But, I don't disagree. I would love Notre Dame to win. Trust me.
Two quick things before you move on. This is really good for college football, by the way. When Notre Dame is good and relevant, it's better for college football. It's that way in every sport with certain teams. And I think from the coaching perspectives, Ryan Day's got much more to lose Monday night than Marcus Freeman has to lose. Marcus Freeman's already a winner. He got him into the national championship game. He's not going to feel any heat for losing it. Ryan Day is going to feel some heat if he loses this game because of Michigan.
You think Ryan Day will get fired if he loses?
No, but I think the heat will be turned up even higher for the future. We talked about Marcus Freeman in the NFL. He has not interviewed with anybody. He hasn't done anything. He's just been chatter. I will tell you, Ryan Day is much more likely to be in the NFL long before Marcus Freeman ever is.
Interesting. I agree with you. Go ahead.
Notre Dame is like the Dallas Cowboys of college football.
Mm-hmm.
They were the ones on NBC on TV, that back in the day. And so they're like America's team of college football. And so they had relevance just like the Cowboys, but they lost a lot of that relevance for years because they hadn't won a championship in a long time. But they're here now.
37 years and more than a generation. They haven't won a championship. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And listen, Notre Dame's always been huge, popular. They had the, I forget exactly the term they used. I think it was Subway Irish fans or something. Everybody followed Notre Dame, as James said. They were always on TV or the radio. Yeah. The Four Horsemen, Newt Rockney. I mean, you can go all the way back. And they've always, They are one of the most popular teams still today. Michigan was another one. Michigan was huge too at one time. Those were probably the two teams